to my channel. If this is your first time here, welcome. Um, so I have to ask the question: how amazing was the '90s for the Beatles? I mean, it's like I feel like when it came to let me just do this real quick. Um, because I felt like when it came to all of the decades after the Beatles' heyday, I feel like the '90s was the most important decade for them. I mean, during the '70s, we had the Beatles albums coming out on cassette tape, and then we also had all those compilations that came out, beginning with the Red and the Blue album. Um, and then in the '80s, it basically began with a whimper by losing John Lennon, and and then we also had like a documentary called The Complete Beatles. And then plus we got the Beatles albums pressed for the first time on um, on CD. Remember this package? But I felt like it was the '90s where things really was amazing to be a Beatles fan. And I just remember 1995. I remember 1995 vividly. I remember that like so much a lot of good music was happening during the mid 90s. That was a great time for alternative rock. You had like a lot of acts and bands like Sheryl Crow, Sarah McLachlan, Hootie and the Blowfish, Jim Blossom's Cranberries, just dominating that whole part of the 90s. Um, but it seems like things were really going to take off big for the Beatles, and that all started in 1993, where we had the issue for the first time on CD, um, the Red and the Blue albums together, which proved to be great sellers, for the Beatles, and it was like one of those stepping stones where it proved that there's still a lot of interest and attention for Beatles product, and so these came out great. And like I got my dad bought me them on CD, and got me a CD player for the first time. So I was listening to them. I loved them a lot, especially my favorite one, which is the blue one right here. And then in 1994, Apple and EMI really stepped up their game by giving us um, the Live at the BBC compilation. And truthfully, I love how this looks better than the reissue that we got in 2013. I just like the sepia tone color of it. But we got this, and it also proved that, a lot of people bought it. It did great, like it sold millions. And again, that showed Apple and EMI that there's still a lot of interest in the Beatles. So that laid the stepping stones to what came in 1995. And also, just going back to 1995, I just remember going to a thing that we used to have in Los Angeles called the Beatles Fest. And it was put together by Mark and Carol Lapidus, out in Jersey. They used to do ones here in California from the beginnings of the '70s, and then they basically stopped right after 9/11 happened. But I just remember just going to the Beatle Fest in '95, and everything was about the anthology. We were just getting words like this new thing coming out. It's called the Anthology, and it's gonna be like a three-part series that's gonna be on ABC, that you could watch during the weekend of Thanksgiving, and also that's gonna come out with three different volumes of music, and also the Beatles, the surviving Beatles, are getting together and gonna do this two new songs with using a recording that John Lennon made before he passed away called "Free as a Bird" and "Real Love." And I was like, and so I think everybody in the Beatle world was just totally amazing and waiting and so blown away that this thing was going to happen, especially when we got word that uh, Paul, George, and Ringo were getting together to add music onto these unreleased John Lennon recordings, and thus making these two new songs new Beatles music. Making it part of like the Beatles canon, and so it was totally blown away. I just remember, like, before the first episode came out, went out, bought a VHS, and I told my family, like, hey, this television set in the living room, it is mine for these 3 nights. I'm gonna be in front of there. I'm gonna be recording everything, and I'm just gonna enjoy myself, and basically geek out, like, to the Beatles and stuff, and I did, and then at the end of the first and second one, we got those amazing music videos for Free as a Bird and Real Love, and just hearing the music, hearing the Beatles as a band together since 1970 was just totally amazing. And we never ever, I know a lot of Beatles fans never ever thought that it would ever get to this point, considering that we lost John Lennon in 1980. So the idea of the guys ever getting together to do new Beatle music was kind of a thing of dreams, but we got it. We got Free as a Bird, we got Real Love, and then we start to get these amazing compilations after another. The first one came out in November of '95. Then we got the second one, which came out during the spring, and then we got the third one, which came out during the fall of '96. Both of these came out in '96, and and it was great because when they announced that we're gonna get like these record sets, came out on CD, cassette, and vinyl. It was amazing because we all know that back in 1984, '85, they were trying to put this thing out, the Sessions album, and everybody wanted this. Everybody wanted this to be released because they had like a lot of amazing tracks that we all wanted to hear. We wanted to hear, Leave My Kind Alone, If You Got Troubles, That Means a Lot, which is my favorite song, Paul's version of Come and Get It, their audition with the song Besame Mucho, the first version of One After 909, and a lot of these other great stuff that came with it. But sadly, because of all the legal issues that the Beatles were having with EMI around that time, um, we never got it. But then we were told that these compilations were going to be basically, they're going to give us more to make up than for not giving us the session stuff. So it was great that, like, we got all these, and I loved them to death. I played them a lot. I was so excited to hear them and stuff. So it was amazing. It was amazing just to get, and just that whole time of leading up to it, it just felt like Beatlemania all over again. I didn't know how Beatlemania was when it first happened because I wasn't alive yet, but I just basically just lived vicariously through the stories that my dad told me. My dad was a very big Beatles memorabilia expert, and he was like one of many people like there, like you all that were there when the whole Beatlemania thing happened. He was a very big collector, very big fan. Like his favorite Beatle is Paul, and and still was all the way up to to my dad's passing. He named me after Paul and stuff, and so it was like during that whole anthology time, it was sort of like my way of feeling like how everybody felt back in '64, '65, '63, when the Beatles were just like, coming out and stuff, and the whole anthology thing was happening. So as time went on, like, we got, the VHS set of the Beatles anthology. And then during 2002, 2003, we got it on DVD. and we also got like a bonus disc on it that gave us like a few more interviews and like behind the scenes stuff, and especially with behind the scenes footage of Paul George Ringo with Jeff Lynne and Jeff Emmerich working on Free as a Bird and Real Love. So um, it was always a thing where I think a lot of people have been making this argument lately that the anthology reissue of the anthology was it's something that Beatles fans actually didn't want, but truthfully, I did want it, and the reasons why I wanted it was because, for one thing, it would be great to see the Beatles anthology brought into 4K and issued onto Blu-ray. You know, uh, to make all the footage better and stuff like that, to sound better, everything looking way better than it did on the DVD and stuff. Even though the DVD still looks great. Um, but also, it would have been great to also hear the music on these albums finally remastered and stuff. So when we got the announcement this year, last basically this week or last week, that we're getting this new anthology set, and we're getting a fourth one called Anthology 4. I was happy. I was excited. And still am. I'm hoping to get the vinyl set, even though I lost my job a couple of months ago and money is tight right now. But I'm really hoping that maybe I could find a job and finally get these. But I'm also looking forward to seeing the anthology series come out on Disney Plus, which to me was a given that it will come out on Disney Plus, considering that we have gotten the Get Back documentary on there. We got Let It Be. We got Beatles 65. Early on, they worked with Hulu to do 8 days a week. So when it came to anthology, I was like, oh yeah, it's gonna be on Disney Plus. It just has to be on Disney Plus. I don't see it just being something that they could just put on ABC. It has to be Disney Plus. What better place to have it at? I know. Um, so so I'm excited for the documentary. But when it comes to these, even though I am excited with the remasters, I liked how the remasters sounded. I was able to stream some of them, and I was very impressed on how better sounded they did. I also do have my grievances of them as well, and especially when it comes to a few certain things. For one thing, let's go to the first album. As you all remember, on the first album, there are tracks where we're getting speeches from John Lennon, Paul McCartney, and Brian Epstein. And I believe on one of the speeches, Paul McCartney is talking about the Hamburg days. And then he's talking about doing the whole thing with Tony Sheridan and Bern Camford. And as he's talking, then you start to hear My Bonnie behind him speaking. That annoyed me. That totally annoyed me a lot. And then when there's a track where Brian Epstein is talking about the Decca stuff, you hear him talking, and at the same time you hear Searchin' playing. And again, that also annoyed me too. It's like I would have loved to have heard My Bonnie without the overlap of the speech, and I would love to have heard Searchin' without the overlap of Brian Epstein's speech as well. I feel like they got lazy on that. Um, really wish they could have not done that, made the speeches their own track. They still, like it could be done. It should have been done. I just don't know why they didn't do it. Secondly, we already got Lend Me Your Comb on the air live at the BBC too. So I think they could have easily just taken that off of this album, just delete it, and it that way they probably could have had like more room to do something with that album. Maybe add another song from the Decca stuff, like "Love of the Loved." I would have loved to have that song added to this album as well. Um, and then I feel like some of the session tracks could have been um, possibly remixed. I think everybody would have loved to have had "Leave My Kind Alone" to have like a better improved stereo mix. "If You Got Troubles" would have been great to have like an improved stereo mix on it. One After 909. That Means a Lot, which is like my favorite song. It's still mono. It's still mono on the set. It would have been great that they would have created a true stereo mix on That Means a Lot for the set. Other things that I found frustrated is um, also it also comes on this album too. 12-bar original should have given us a the 6-minute version of it. If they would have just taken out um, Tomorrow Never Knows, since it's already on the Revolver box set, they could have just taken that out. They could have also taken out Got to Get You In My Life, so that there could be more room for 12-bar original and possibly one other song for the set. Um, and also, You Know My Name, Look Up the Number. Um, it's still 5 minutes and 45 seconds on it. They should have given us the 6 minute and 11 second version of it on this. It's surprising that they're not even offering any outtakes of You Know My Name, Look Up the Number. Um, Considering that we never got outtakes for it during the Sgt. Pepper box set, and there wasn't even outtakes for um, the Abbey Road box set, or it could have been like on the Let It Be box set. So they totally missed out on giving us outtakes of You Know My Name, Look Up the Number. Um, and then I think everybody's saying it about the Anthology 4, that they're giving us some of the stuff that we already have on the box sets of Sgt. Pepper, White Album, Abbey Road, and Let It Be, and Revolver. They could have easily just given us more content, more stuff. Like maybe we could have gone more the home demos of the Beatles, like the home demos of back then when they were first trying out um, One After 909, I'll Follow the Sun, I Have Always Been in Love with You. Um, they could have possibly extended the version of In Spite of All the Danger, because it was the version of In Spite of All the Danger on this. It's an edited version. They could have just easily given us the full version of that recording. Um, Truthfully, I think what would have made this better is just taking out all the speeches altogether. That way we could have more room for other stuff, more Decca stuff. Um, and on that Anthology 4 set, like more outtakes, because we still don't know if they're gonna give us a Revolver set. We don't know if they're gonna give us a Help set, Beatles for Sale, Hard Day's Night with the Beatles, Please Please Me. It would be great if they could try to find the very first time that they attempted Hold Me Tight during the Please Please Me sessions. Maybe throughout all these years, maybe they probably would have found that tape, somewhere. Um, I don't know. But yeah, but even with all of the grievances that I do have, I'm still looking forward to getting the set. I'm still looking forward to hearing Anthology 4, the stuff that's going to be on that. We're finally get something from Baby You're a Rich Man, because we all know that we weren't going to get much stuff from the Magical Mystery Tour sessions. They never thought about giving us a Magical Mystery Tour set. They never even were planning on giving us a set for the Yellow Submarine stuff. It would have been great if they would have added some of that stuff onto the Sgt. Pepper box set. But I digress. Um, but in most part, I am totally looking forward to this. Grievances aside, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be amazing. I can't wait to see the documentary. I can't wait to see the ninth episode that Peter Jackson's gonna be putting together for us. And seeing it play out on Disney Plus. I will be binge watching all of them. I will be there, right there in front of the TV, watching it all, and then hoping to get the vinyl sets of these. Um, um, if anybody wants to get me them for my birthday, it's coming up next month. Just kidding. No, actually, my birthday is in about 2 weeks. So yeah, so in most part, I'm looking forward to the Beatles Anthology 2025. And then I'm hoping later on we do get that that Rubber Soul box set, because we need that box set. So those are my thoughts. It's going to be great to relive that whole experience from 1995 again. It's going to be amazing. So yeah, so I'm gonna go into this with a lot of optimism, you know, because that's all you can really do when it comes to the Beatles. Is thank God that we're still getting stuff from them years later. I've been happy that we're still getting stuff. It's like, whoever thought that, because of the technology that Peter Jackson was able to create for Get Back, that we finally got something like Now and Then. Just goes to show you that with all the technologies, it's just opening up the doors for a whole lot more content for us to get. Songs that were basically locked in mono could now be in stereo. Stuff that were like on old cassettes could now just be demixed and remixed. So life is good. But I do have to say this: when it comes to Free as a Bird and Real Love, Giles Martin should have done those remixes, not Jeff Lynne. Even though Jeff Lynne was the main producer on those tracks, I feel like Giles Martin should have been the one to remix those recordings, considering that Giles Martin has more time working with the demixing technology of Peter Jackson than Jeff Lynne did. But if you want to hear Free as a Bird, the new mix, but John's vocals more up front, go to my channel. I actually uploaded it. I actually did my own demix of the track and brought up John's voice. And then now it sounds even way better and clearer and up front, as it should be. Now I'm just wondering how Real Love is going to sound. But that's it. So thank you so much. Let me know your thoughts of everything that's going to happen, and I will hopefully do more live stuff. And again, sorry if my hair is blowing away. I have a fan right here. It's very, very hot here in Southern California, especially in the desert where I'm at, But hey, that's how it goes. Have a great one. If you're out somewhere where it's kind of hot, stay cool and keep hydrated, people. And the Beatles, always and forever.